Auf Wiedersehen, Pat remains one of Britain's most beloved television series, following a group of construction workers seeking opportunities abroad. First airing in 1983, the show became a cultural phenomenon, known for its sharp wit, heartfelt storytelling, and unforgettable characters. Over the years, the talented cast brought these roles to life, making a lasting impression on audiences. Sadly, many of the actors who played these beloved characters have since passed away. In this tribute, we honor the 35 actors from Auf Wiedersehen, Pat who have tragically died, reflecting on their careers, contributions to the series, and the lasting legacy they left behind. Pat Roach played Bomber Busbridge in 1983 at the age of 46, portraying a physically imposing yet kind-hearted man who often acted as the group's protector. A former professional wrestler, Roach found success in action films like Indiana Jones and A Clockwork Orange, but despite his fame, he remained stuck in the role of the silent brute, never gaining the dramatic recognition he longed for. He married Doreen Roach, and they had a son, Mark, but his long absences for filming and wrestling tours strained their relationship. Mark grew resentful of his father's career, feeling neglected, and their bond was never fully repaired. As Roach aged, his body, once his greatest asset, became his burden. Crippling arthritis left him in constant pain, and throat cancer robbed him of his deep, commanding voice. In his final days, he withdrew from public life, too weak to fight the disease that overtook him. He died on July 17, 2004, at 67, a man who had spent his life embodying strength but ultimately fell victim to his own mortality.
The other one's got all the turds in it. We calls it the Casbah.
James Booth played Kenny Ames in 1986 at the age of 59, portraying a once successful businessman clinging to past glories. Booth had risen to fame in Zulu, 1964, but his career gradually declined, forcing him into lesser roles and financial struggles. He married Paula Booth, and they had 4 children, yet his commitment to his work often left his family feeling like an afterthought. His personal life was marked by regret. He felt he had never lived up to his full potential, and by the time he reached old age, he had largely been forgotten by the industry he once thrived in. Depression consumed him, and he withdrew from the spotlight, his health steadily deteriorating. His final years were spent in quiet isolation, battling both physical ailments and the weight of lost opportunities. He died on August 11, 2005, at 77 from natural causes, leaving behind a legacy of untapped potential and a life shadowed by what could have been.
Come on, Ali. You've acquired a perfectly beautiful residence, well below the market value. All you got to do is to restore it to its former grandeur. Why don't you turn it into...
Michael Sheard played Herr Grunwald in 1983 at the age of 45, portraying a stern and authoritarian German character, a role he was well versed in after playing Hitler multiple times throughout his career. Despite a prolific career in television and film, he was typecast as strict authority figures, never breaking free to explore the roles he truly desired. Married to Rosalind Alloway, he had 3 children, but his obsessive dedication to his work meant he was rarely present as a father. As he aged, the industry moved on without him, and he struggled with declining opportunities and financial instability. When he was diagnosed with cancer, the disease progressed aggressively, leaving him frail and dependent on others. On August 31, 2005, at 67, he succumbed to the illness, a man whose entire life had been defined by playing rigid, unyielding figures, only to face a fate he could not control.
Ich habe keine freie Stelle für solche.
This is true? You are bricklayer?
Yeah.
What if there had been an accident?
Gordon Tootoosis played Joe Saugus in 2002 at the age of 61, bringing wisdom and quiet dignity to the role of a Native American elder. A passionate advocate for indigenous rights, Tootoosis spent much of his career fighting against Hollywood's reductive portrayals of his people, but despite his efforts, he was often cast in stereotypical roles. He married Irene Sessikwasis, and together they had 3 daughters, but tragedy struck when their daughter Glynis passed away young, a devastating loss that left Tootoosis emotionally shattered. Though he continued acting, the grief never fully left him, and he became increasingly reclusive. As he aged, his health declined rapidly, and pneumonia took hold of his weakened body. On July 5, 2011, at 69, he passed away, his once powerful voice silenced, leaving behind a lifetime of struggle against an industry that never truly saw him for more than the roles he was given.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. So how's business?
We're down to busing seniors from Clemson.
Brian Pringle played Arthur Pringle in 1986 at the age of 51, embodying the gruff and miserable pub owner whose bitter attitude alienated those around him. In real life, Pringle often found himself frustrated with the industry, believing he had been overlooked for greater roles. Though he married actress Angelis Jameson, their relationship was plagued with tension and unspoken resentments, exacerbated by his struggles with depression and self-doubt. They had no children, and as he aged, loneliness became his constant companion. Feeling forgotten and irrelevant, he became increasingly withdrawn, his health deteriorating due to years of unchecked ailments. On May 15, 2002, at 67, he died of natural causes, but those close to him believed he had given up long before, a man who had spent his life yearning for recognition that never truly came.
Piss. I better get Dent something to eat, eh?
Oh, yeah. Got any of them pies left, Squire?
No, you had the last.
You got any Scotch eggs?
No.
You got anything hot?
It's after 2.
Ricardo Montez played Fuentes in 1986 at the age of 63, a lively and warm character who provided comedic relief. Despite his natural charisma, Montez spent much of his career confined to stereotypical Hispanic roles, a limitation he deeply resented. He became best known for Mind Your Language, yet he struggled to find serious dramatic work, often feeling exploited by an industry that refused to see beyond his ethnicity. His personal life mirrored his professional frustrations. His marriage ended in divorce after years of tension, and although he had 2 children, their relationship became distant as his bitterness grew. Financial struggles followed him in his later years, forcing him to take minor roles he despised just to survive. When he was diagnosed with cancer, he faced the battle largely alone, as the industry that had used him had long since moved on. He passed away on October 26, 2010, at the age of 87, a man whose career was defined by laughter but whose life was marked by disappointment.
Pool? What? Yes, in the pool. In the nude. See.
It is not typical, Senor Osley, I think.
Michael Angelis played Mickey Startup in 2002 at the age of 58, portraying a cunning businessman always looking for an opportunity. His career began with promise, gaining recognition in Boys from the Black Stuff and later narrating Thomas and Friends for decades, yet despite his success, his personal life was deeply troubled. His marriage to actress Helen Worth ended in 2001 due to his infidelity, a scandal that tarnished his image. Though he later married Jennifer Kalaschy, his emotional turmoil never fully subsided. Professionally, he struggled with typecasting and watched younger actors take the roles he once coveted. His later years were marked by depression and isolation, as offers became scarce and the industry moved on without him. Plagued by regrets, he withdrew from public life, spending his final years in quiet solitude. On May 30, 2020, he died from a heart attack at the age of 76, leaving behind a legacy overshadowed by his personal struggles and a sense of unfulfilled potential.
Where's my lad?
What lad?
Teddy Platt, and he was working for you because he told me.
Doing what?
Well, nothing legal, that's for sure. I'm not an idiot.
Michael Elphick played Magowan in 1983 at the age of 37, embodying a rough, morally ambiguous character with hidden depth. His career flourished in the 1980s, starring in Boone and Private Schultz, yet his lifelong battle with alcoholism destroyed his chances of sustained success. The drinking, once seen as part of his roguish charm, soon became uncontrollable, leading to erratic behavior and lost opportunities. Though he had a long-term partner, Julia Alexander, his addiction strained their relationship, and their daughter Kate often bore the brunt of his self-destructive habits. As his health deteriorated, his career followed, and by the late 1990s, he was rarely seen on screen, his talent wasted by personal demons. In his final years, he was a shadow of the man he once was, living a lonely and declining existence. On September 7, 2002, he died of a heart attack at 55, a tragic figure who let addiction dictate his fate.
Hangover. I was only having a couple of jars, minding my own business, like. Them fanatics started that. I wasn't looking for any trouble.
Well, looks like you never are, brother.
What's that supposed to?
Alan Igman played Addy in 2002 at the age of 50, portraying a resourceful and street-smart character. His early career was filled with promise, with roles in Scum and Boys from the Black Stuff, yet systemic racism in the industry meant he was often overlooked for major opportunities. Frustrated by the lack of meaningful roles for black actors, he slowly faded from the spotlight, his once rising career slipping into obscurity. His personal life was equally challenging. He never married, and though he had a daughter, their bond weakened over time, leaving him isolated in his later years. Struggling financially, he took on odd jobs to make ends meet, a stark contrast to his earlier success. His declining health only added to his hardships, yet he refused to let others see his suffering. On December 9, 2020, he died from pneumonia at the age of 68, a man whose immense talent was never truly recognized, his contributions to British television largely forgotten.
Exactly, do you want him, Foley?
It's personal. He used to work for me.
Well, he worked with us for a while, but he's gone.
Saginaw Grant played Medicine Man in 2002 at the age of 66, portraying a wise and spiritual figure. A proud Native American actor, he devoted his life to breaking stereotypes and advocating for indigenous representation in Hollywood, yet despite his efforts, he was often relegated to minor roles, never achieving the widespread recognition he deserved. Though respected within his community, he lived a solitary life, never marrying or having children, which left him with little family support in his later years. While he found fulfillment in cultural advocacy, financial struggles persisted, and his declining health became an increasing burden. Despite his hardships, he remained dedicated to his people and his craft, refusing to give up on the fight for representation. On July 27, 2021, he passed away at the age of 85 from natural causes, a man who spent his life battling for visibility but remained largely unrecognized by the industry he sought to change.
Think, are the omens in our favor?
The pound is 135 to the dollar.
Morag Hood was 44 when she portrayed Joy Chatterley in 1986, a flirtatious and sharp-witted woman who charmed and manipulated those around her. Off-screen, Morag's life was marked by struggles that stood in stark contrast to her character's light-hearted confidence. She had early success in theater and television but was soon confined to supporting roles, leading to financial instability. Her marriage to fellow actor Jonathan faded under the pressures of their careers, and after their painful divorce, she was left to raise their only son alone. Though she remained devoted to acting, she was diagnosed with cancer in the late 1990s but kept her illness private, refusing to let it define her. As her condition worsened, she continued working, determined to support herself and her son. She passed away on October 5, 2002, at the age of 59, her final years overshadowed by both professional disappointment and personal hardship.
There we are. Is this man annoying you, Mrs. Chatterley?
No. No, I was just about to ask him if he'd be interested in helping with a few repairs in our garage.
William Simons was 46 when he portrayed the gamekeeper in 1986, a rugged and knowledgeable figure who lived in harmony with nature. His on-screen wisdom and strength belied a life filled with hardship and disappointment. Despite a long career in television, he was often typecast in small roles, struggling to gain recognition in an industry that rarely rewarded loyalty. His marriage to Helen, a fellow actress, was strained by their conflicting careers, leading to long periods of separation and emotional distance. Though they remained married, their relationship was deeply troubled. In his later years, Simons was diagnosed with cancer, a battle he fought privately while continuing to work. His final years were marked by declining health and unfulfilled professional ambitions. On June 21, 2019, he passed away at the age of 78, his legacy largely overshadowed by more famous peers, a quiet and sorrowful end to a life devoted to performance.
Jump out the river and into the pond. Is that it? Tickle him.
Have you any idea how serious an offence it is?
Look, mate, before you go talking about offences, you need evidence, don't you?
Stephen Greif played Prince Stefano in 1986 at 42, a character defined by intelligence, authority, and a calculated sense of control. Greif had an impressive career, with roles in stage and screen productions, but he struggled with the limitations of being typecast. Despite critical acclaim, true stardom eluded him, leaving him frustrated with an industry that often overlooked his depth as an actor. His marriage to Josephine, once filled with passion, fell apart due to his workaholic nature, and their twin sons grew distant from him. This emotional void led to deep depression, worsened by financial setbacks that forced him to accept roles he despised. As he aged, his body weakened, and the once commanding presence that defined his career faded into obscurity. On December 23, 2022, at 78, he passed away, his name barely making headlines, a sad farewell to a man who had spent his life longing for greater recognition.
Meet my good friends, Brenda and...
Hey.
Enchanté. Gunther.
Aldo.
Gunnar Möller played Detective Vorman in 1983 at the age of 55, bringing a sharp intellect and relentless determination to his role. His career, however, was overshadowed by scandal and disgrace. Once a respected actor in Germany, his life unraveled in the most tragic of ways. In 1992, Möller was convicted of manslaughter for killing his wife Christiane. The man who had so often played figures of law and order found himself on the wrong side of justice, serving time in prison. His 3 children, unable to reconcile their father's crime, cut all ties, leaving him utterly alone. Released after only 4 years, he attempted to rebuild his career, but the stigma never faded. His name was now synonymous with infamy rather than talent. Unable to find work, he lived in quiet exile, consumed by regret and the ghosts of his past. In his final years, dementia stripped him of even his memories, leaving him a prisoner of his own mind. He passed away on May 16, 2017, at 88.
Unterschreiben möchte ich, dass Sie es noch einmal durchlesen. Lesen Sie sorgfältig und lassen Sie sich Zeit. Vielleicht möchten Sie etwas ändern oder vielleicht...
Kenny Ireland portrayed Sid Payne in 1986 at the age of 41, capturing the essence of a determined journalist with sharp wit and an unbreakable spirit. Off-screen, his career soared with roles in House of Cards and Benidorm, yet he never escaped financial instability. Theater was his first love, but it never paid well, and television brought fleeting recognition rather than real security. His marriage to actress Meg Campbell started with passion but collapsed under the strain of infertility and mutual disappointment. The couple remained childless, a painful reality that Kenny masked with humor but which silently ate away at him. In his later years, he struggled with deteriorating health, hiding the severity of his illness even from close friends. Cancer took hold of him aggressively, robbing him of his voice and strength. On July 31, 2014, at the age of 68, he passed away, his once powerful presence reduced to a frail shadow of itself.
We're not saying anything.
All we want to do, love, is clear the air. I mean, all this must be very embarrassing for you back home. Is it?
No.
Badi Uzzaman played Gupta in 2002 at the age of 63, bringing warmth and wisdom to the role. His character was a voice of reason, offering guidance and stability amidst the chaos. Uzzaman's career was a relentless struggle, marked by brilliant performances that often went unnoticed. Despite powerful roles in My Beautiful Laundrette, 1985, and Coronation Street, he remained typecast, always longing for a breakthrough that never came. His personal life was equally sorrowful. He married young, but his wife left him after years of financial hardship. Their only son, Farid, became estranged, blaming Uzzaman for their unstable upbringing. Haunted by loneliness, he fell into depression, battling severe anxiety and frequent hospital visits. His final years were spent in isolation, tormented by declining health and professional obscurity. On June 14, 2011, he died at the age of 72 due to a lung infection, alone in a hospital bed, his contributions to cinema largely forgotten.
Of the past. Lots of comfort and thought when you switch off the light at night, eh?
However, Dennis, I believe there is a line you don't cross.
Timothy Spall played Barry Taylor in 1983 at the age of 26, capturing the essence of a kind but naive man trying to navigate the world. Unlike many of his co-stars, Spall found major success, starring in Harry Potter, Secrets and Lies, and Mr. Turner. However, beneath the acclaim, his life took a harrowing turn. Diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia in 1996, he was given mere days to live. The grueling battle against the disease left him physically weakened and emotionally scarred, altering his perspective on life and work. While he survived, the trauma lingered, affecting his relationships and career choices. Though his marriage to Shane Spall endured, the emotional toll of his illness left cracks in their bond. Even after recovery, he faced periods of deep depression, struggling to reconcile his success with the haunting proximity of death. Today, he is 68 and remains alive, but his past struggles serve as a reminder that even fame cannot shield one from life's deepest tragedies.
Homeless families.
Oh, don't give me any of your militant claptrap, Trevor. Second book to buy this place.
Hurrah, the Falklands.
Not
Kevin Whately played Neville Hope in 1983 at the age of 32, portraying the soft-spoken, kind-hearted bricklayer who often found himself at the mercy of stronger personalities. His career flourished after Auf Wiedersehen, Pet, with notable roles in Inspector Morse and Lewis, yet behind the scenes, fame came at a heavy price. His marriage to actress Madeleine Newton endured, but the pressures of television kept him away from home for months at a time, leaving their children, Catherine and Kieran, feeling neglected. As he aged, the industry's demands weighed heavily on him, leading to bouts of depression and self-doubt. The transition from leading man to forgotten relic was painful, and by his late 60s, he had quietly stepped away from acting. Now, at 74 in 2025, he lives a reclusive life, spending his days in reflection, grappling with the loss of purpose and the fading echoes of a career that once defined him.
Apparently not. Aye, well, a lot of us end up doing things we're not proud of. Look at me. I've been working for Ali Fraser. Well, nice.
Jimmy Nail played Oz Osborne in 1983 at the age of 29, embodying a brash, tough-talking Geordie whose reckless bravado masked a deeply vulnerable core. Oz was the heart of the group's mischief, always quick with a crude joke yet fiercely loyal to his friends. Nail's career took off after Auf Wiedersehen, Pet, leading to a brief music stint with the chart-topping Ain't No Doubt, but success was fleeting. His later albums flopped, and his acting career faltered as he struggled to escape Oz's shadow. Off-screen, his personal life unraveled, his marriage to Miriam Jones collapsed under the strain of his volatile temperament, and his only son, David, cut ties after years of estrangement. Nail battled severe depression and alcoholism, retreating from the public eye as the industry moved on without him. Now, in 2025, at 70, he lives a quiet, isolated existence in Newcastle, suffering from chronic health issues and haunted by what could have been, his once booming presence reduced to a fading memory.
It's a fortnight. I mean, you've been away nearly a year.
Ah, what happened was I missed the plane on the way.
Get that here.
Hello, Patterson.
Get that here, man.
Tim Healy portrayed Dennis Patterson in 1983 at the age of 31, bringing a steady, fatherly presence to the group as their reluctant leader. Dependable and pragmatic, Dennis was the glue holding the chaos together. Healy found continued success in British television, most notably in Benidorm, but the toll of constant work strained his personal life. His marriage to actress Denise Welch ended in a bitter divorce, exacerbated by her battles with addiction and infidelity, leaving Healy emotionally shattered. Though they had 2 sons, Maddie and Lewis, the family fracture left deep wounds, and Healy often found himself alone, drowning in work to escape his loneliness. A life-threatening illness in 2016 nearly ended his career, leaving him physically weakened and forever changed. Now, at 73, he leads a much quieter life, his once commanding screen presence fading, as he struggles with health problems and the solitude that comes with growing older in an industry that has long since moved on.
None of this changed.
Listen here. Ollie's in Spain for the next 3 weeks, you know, so I'm not pushed. Why don't we go to...
Christopher Fairbank portrayed Albert Moxey in 1983 at the age of 30, injecting the character with a sharp wit and survival instincts honed by a tough life. Though he carved out a solid career with roles in Alien 3 and The Fifth Element, he remained forever a supporting actor, never quite reaching leading man status. His personal life was marked by solitude. Never marrying, he drifted through fleeting relationships, unable to form lasting bonds. His battle with rejection and professional stagnation led him to drink heavily, a habit that only worsened as the years passed. By his 60s, health issues, including liver disease, had begun to take their toll, leaving him frail and struggling financially. Now, at 71 in 2025, he lives in near isolation, a forgotten figure in British television, clinging to the memories of a past that grows more distant with each passing day.
Let alone a mulcahy. Well, I'm stuck with it now, aren't I? It's either a nickname or a life of constant anxiety waiting for a gloved hand on my shoulder.
Paddy Joyce was 63 when he played the Ghost in 1986, an eerie and unsettling figure whose sudden appearances added a supernatural element to the show. A talented but often overlooked character actor, Joyce spent decades in the industry, struggling with typecasting and financial hardship. Despite his dedication to his craft, he was never able to secure leading roles, which left him frustrated and disillusioned. His marriage to Margaret ended in a bitter divorce, and the separation strained his relationship with their 2 children, whom he rarely saw in his later years. As he aged, his health deteriorated due to a series of strokes that impaired his speech, effectively ending his career. Living in near isolation and struggling with financial ruin, he spent his final years in a care facility, where he was largely forgotten by the industry he had devoted his life to. On July 27, 2000, he died at the age of 77 from a massive stroke, his passing barely making headlines. Junix Jnocian played Go-Between in 2004 at the age of 53, portraying a resourceful and cunning character who navigated dangerous situations with wit and adaptability. Jnocian had a strong background in theater, earning recognition for his powerful performances, particularly in Miss Saigon. However, as the years passed, his once thriving career dwindled, and he found himself taking smaller roles just to stay afloat. Despite his public charm, his private life was marked by loneliness, his marriage to Ida was strained, and their inability to have children weighed heavily on him. Financial instability became an increasing burden, forcing him to live in near seclusion in his final years. Once a vibrant presence on stage, he became withdrawn, battling health issues in silence. On June 13, 2015, at 64, he was found dead in his home, possibly from cardiac arrest, a tragic and quiet end for a man whose voice once captivated audiences. Misty Upham was just 20 when she took on the role of Dawn in 2002, a determined and resilient young woman who faced challenges head-on. Much like her character, Misty's life was a battle against adversity. As a Native American actress, she faced extreme discrimination in Hollywood, struggling to find meaningful roles beyond stereotypes. Despite critical acclaim in independent films, she lived in poverty, often unable to afford medical care for her worsening mental health. She suffered from bipolar disorder and depression, which were left largely untreated due to financial constraints. She never married or had children, and as her career stagnated, she withdrew from the industry. In her final months, she confided in family members that she feared for her life, believing she was being followed. On October 5, 2014, she went missing in Washington state. Her body was found 11 days later at the bottom of a ravine, having suffered fatal blunt force injuries. She was only 32, and her family later accused the police of failing to take her disappearance seriously, leaving many questions about her tragic death unanswered. Guy Standeven portrayed the German police officer in 1984 at the age of 56, bringing an air of stern authority to the role. A prolific character actor, he appeared in countless British television shows and films, but never achieved the fame or recognition he longed for. Despite his dedication to his craft, he was frequently cast in minor roles, forced to take on background parts just to make ends meet. His personal life was equally tragic. He married once, but the financial strain of an unpredictable career led to its collapse. His wife left him, taking their only daughter with her, leaving him to navigate life alone. As he aged, dementia took hold, slowly robbing him of the sharp mind that had once made him such a compelling performer. By the time of his death on October 26, 1998, at the age of 70, he had faded into obscurity, his passing barely acknowledged, a tragic fate for a man who had spent decades in the industry. Who is your favorite character in Auf Wiedersehen, pet? How do you feel knowing that the actors have passed away? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Thank you so much.